the heck is up, you guys? It's your boy Ace, aka Animated Heroes, here back with another action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SH Figuarts Chainsaw Man Powered Down Denji. Now, I don't know about you guys, the Chainsaw Man figure itself was amazing, but to be honest, I really wanted a powered down version of Denji, and I'm so glad we finally have him here. Now let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with the sexy packaging. Now, when it comes to the sexy packaging, I'm sure the majority of the action figure community can agree that these are some damn good looking packages, mostly because they are a direct representation of the volume covers that we get, basically copying the color perfectly. And I really love these color palettes. As you can see, they are all different, and of course I have the two others in the background to show the differences. On Denji himself, we've got a greenish kind of blue in certain area, yellow in certain spots, but then you got some dark around the trimming that's more of a dark brown color, maybe maroon, depending on how the light captures. It's up to you guys. I'm sure right here this says Denji. It says Denji again right there, SH Figuarts. We got the window where we can see the figure looking really good. There are some questionable things I have about the design. I'll get to those in just a second. Of course, we got the figure posed up on the side of the packaging right here. We got him looking good. Nothing really at the bottom. At the top it says Denji. We got him posed up right there with his axe. I'm so glad he comes with that. Then of course on the back you've got him in a few poses, and then some of the accessories he comes with, as well as Pochita. Then a bunch of stuff at the bottom I can't read because I imported this figure. Now anyway, let's go ahead and bust this figure out of the packaging and see what it's all about. Now, straight out of the packaging, just looking at this figure, I gotta say, it pretty much follows the same exact strategy they made with the initial Chainsaw Man release, but the only difference is that, well, there's a couple actually, and I'm sure you guys can look at this figure immediately and see that something looks a little bit off, and it's right around the shoulders. This design choice is absolutely insane. I don't know what is going on here, but this is definitely giving some Revoltech vibes, and I don't know why, because if you look at the initial Chainsaw Man release, the shoulders seem to flow together a little bit better, which is weird because normally they improve designs, but on this one, it's like they took not just a step backwards, like a couple of steps backward. I don't know what happened here, man. Like, it doesn't look terrible, but it's like they broke something that was fixed. And why, when they could have just utilized the same engineering and then just made new lower arms and a new head? They could have re-released essentially the same figure with new arms and new head, and it would have been okay. But for whatever reason, they completely messed this up. And the only reason that I'm taking the time out to discuss this is, for one, it's noticeable, but two, you can't even just like push in or tuck in the shoulders to hide it. If you have Denji in a vanilla pose, it's going to be noticeable. And to be honest, the more I look at it also, I gotta be honest, man. I know a lot of people were trashing me for saying that I enjoyed the Figma, which I'm starting to wish I kept in my collection. But the Figma Denji's head sculpt looked better. In my opinion, that's the head sculpt. I'm not going to talk about the lower body or the torso. We're not getting into articulation. The head sculpt definitely looks better. And if I remember correctly, I think even the arms look better. I don't know for sure, but I'm definitely going to get that figure again now because this one is already disappointing me a little bit. But I've harped on that too much. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at this guy so we can examine some of the details a bit further. Now, taking a closer look at him, the first thing you notice is that he comes right out of the package with that devious smile that Denji always has. And for whatever reason, it looks better when you kind of tilt the head to the side a bit. I don't know why, it just does. Like when he has his head looking like that, it kind of looks a little weird. And that's not saying anything bad about it. It just, certain angles are going to look better than others. Either way, I still dig it. I really do like this soft sculpt that they did for the hair. Could have utilized a bit of shading, but we all know Tamashii Nations doesn't really do shading very much. And I say that they've got a bit right here on the shoulder where this piece right here kind of connects into the, I don't know, this neck piece, basically. And there's a bit more on the left side on mine than the right. And then taking a closer look at these shoulders, I already spent time discussing. I don't like this gapping, man. I am not a fan of this at all, and I don't understand why this design choice was even approved. It's so weird to me, but I mean, whatever. I already said what I had to say about it. It is definitely going to hinder articulation, as you guys can see. I'm sure there's some ways to move it around, but we'll talk about that later. And there's a bit more shading along the wrinkles here, so that's cool. I don't know. It's definitely some here, and it looks like there's some along the torso as well, but it could just be my lighting playing tricks on me, so I'm not sure. But it definitely looks like it. Now, when it comes to the torso, I do think the torso is the exact same. I don't think there's anything different going on here. And then I would like to say the same thing about the pants. It doesn't look like the legs are any skinnier, maybe a tad bit, or I don't know. It literally looks the exact same. Same wrinkles for the most part, and of course the shoes are going to be the same as well. Only differences are going to be the arms. Those of course are completely new, and the head sculpt, as I mentioned. But yeah, it's a decent looking figure, man. To be honest, I can get behind it. I just can't get over these shoulders, man. It's really ugly. It's very ugly. And then the way that they designed them, you can actually look inside the shoulder and see the neck. Like, it just kind of gets worse the more you look at it, man. And I had really high hopes for this guy. Now, granted, if he's facing this way, you're not going to see it, but it's just some unnecessary gapping in there. But anyway, let's go ahead and put him back so we can see how tall he stands. Now, when it comes to the height on this guy, to the top of his head, as you guys can see, he's just a bit taller than 5.5 inches, which is perfectly fine. He is a teenager, so it's not like he needs to be exactly 6 inches tall. But of course, we'll do some size comparisons later against other Chainsaw Man figures as well as other figures, so you can see how he stacks up with them. Moving on to the articulation, as you can see, if you try to get him to look up too much, the head's going to pop off. He really doesn't look up at all because the hair is already touching the back of the neck, so he's not looking up at all. But he does look down. As you can see, the chin touches the base of the neck. It does kind of suck that you can't like extend it out a little bit. But I mean, yeah, it does look down. He does get tilt and turn all kinds of rockers, so that's good. Now, when it comes to these butterfly joints, they work very well. I'm not going to complain about the functionality. They work very well in terms of bringing his arms in. And then when it comes to bringing them upward, this is how you're going to get that. You can only bring his arms outward by rotating these, and honestly it flows a little bit better like this, but obviously the arms are going to sit flush most of the time. But yeah, it does flow a little bit better, and then there's some curvature in there, so when you're rotating the arms, you do have to rotate the shoulder piece if you want him to be punching outward. And then there goes the tie. And that just shows the tie is the exact same one that we got with the initial release. It just kind of plugs into the chest. But yeah, that's what happens with the arm. He does have a bicep swivel right here, single jointed elbow. I think that's fine. I believe it's enough range, so I'm not going to complain about that. The hands are on a very sturdy ball peg. You can move them around just fine. Plenty of range there, so no complaints in that department. And then just look at how much of this I gotta fix whenever I'm like messing with the arm, man. I hate that. Anyway, at the torso, he leans back quite a bit. He doesn't really lean forward much at all. That's about all you're going to get out of him going back. You'll get this amount, but of course there's going to be some gapping. He does get really good rocker. He does turn at the waist both ways. It does kind of help him look down, but to be honest, not much. You're not really getting much articulation out of that. When you lean him back, the legs are going to separate, causing some gapping in there. The crotch piece is a soft plastic. And when it comes to the legs, mobility wise, you will have absolutely no problem. He kicks back, he kicks forward, he's going to kick out. He does have a built-in thigh swivel, double jointed knees that not only function well, they look well. I love what they did with the shoes. Very, very generous ankle rocker, all of that good stuff. And then of course he does have a toe hinge. So the leg articulation is obviously going to be the best. The torso, the arms, and the head are just kind of okay. The shoulders are the absolute worst. But I mean, for the most part, you're still going to be able to get him in any pose that you want to. It's just that certain ones are going to cause you to work a little bit harder. So yeah, be wary of that. Now, when it comes to accessories, this is basically where this figure thrives because you get quite a bit of stuff with this guy. First off, he comes out of the package with the neutral head sculpt and a pair of fist hands. He also comes with 4 other face plates. You get one kind of regular-ish type of grin for him. You get a, I guess, like an uninterested expression, just kind of a neutral look for him. Then you do get the thirsty Denji expression. I'm assuming that's what this is. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think this was shown in the promo images. I don't remember seeing it, but yeah. And then of course you do get the signature tongue out face, which this was just mandatory. They had to do this. And this one definitely does look a lot better than Figma's version. So yeah, that's a plus. Anyway, he comes with quite a few hands. He comes with this set that are together. I don't remember what scene this is from. I saw all of season 1. I've read a lot of the manga, but I don't remember this at all. So yeah, someone can tell me if you want. It doesn't really matter. I don't really care that much. Anyway, he comes with one hand for holding this magazine accessory. Yeah, that's cool. He does come with one hand for when he's pulling on the chainsaw or the little, I don't know, thing on his chest for when he gets ready to transform into Chainsaw Man. He comes with 2 peace sign hands. He comes with 2 relaxed hands. He comes with 2 kind of like reaching, gripping-ish type hands. And then he does come with 2 hands for holding on to his signature axe that I'm so glad they threw in. He comes with an interchangeable tie. It's initially the same one that we got with the Chainsaw Man figure. It's just kind of blowing in the wind for whenever he's attacking. We do get this really dope Pochita accessory, and on top of that, it comes with interchangeable faces. You do have this one where he's just kind of happy, looking adorable. You got another happy, adorable looking expression, and then you got this one where he's crying right here. So tons and tons of accessories, and you can't go wrong with that. Now, when it comes to size comparisons, here he is standing next to the other figures in the Chainsaw Man line. We have him standing next to the SH Figuarts Chainsaw Man, which is the first release. We have him standing next to the SH Figuarts Power, which is the second. And then, of course, we have the third, which is Samurai Sword or Katana Man. Now that we've got these out of the way, I do think it's time for them to go ahead and announce Aki. Since Makima is already up for pre-order, they really need to kind of push forward with this line, man. I feel like they've been getting behind with a lot of stuff, but I would definitely love for Aki to go up for pre-order. Thankfully, for the time being, my Figma is on the way. Next up, here he is standing next to some SH Figuarts Shonen protagonist, main protagonist at that. We have him standing next to the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Super CGI Goku, the SH Figuarts One Piece Monkey D. Luffy, and the SH Figuarts Naruto Shippuden Naruto Uzumaki. Here he is standing next to some Figma Jujutsu Kaisen Greatness figures. We have him standing next to the Figma Yuji Itadori, the Figma Satoru freaking Gojo, and of course the Figma Kento Nanami. And lastly, here he is standing next to some Spider-Man figures from 3 different lines. First off, we have the Marvel Legends Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man, the Sentinel Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man Noir, and then we have the Metacom Toy or Mafex Classic Comic Book Spider-Man. Now, when it comes to my final thoughts for this figure, I'll be honest with you guys. I do like it. I just hate the fact that I know it could have been better and I was expecting better, man. I never understand when Tamashii Nations has the right formula and they choose to ignore it. Like, there was absolutely no need for them to change anything about the body we already had with this figure. All they did was make it a little bit more complicated, and aesthetically it's a whole lot less pleasing to look at. And I don't know, man. I don't get it when they do stuff like that. Now, that is not going to detract from the figure so much that I think you shouldn't get it, but it is something to be mindful of, man, especially if you have a set idea of what you want to do with this figure in terms of posing it, or if you just want this figure to look a particular way. Now, granted, when we got the promo images, we all pretty much expected the shoulders to be the same thing we got with the initial release, which is probably why a lot of us ignored it, meaning after we get our hands on it, we're just kind of like, whoa, what is going on here? But I don't know, man. I don't want to spend too much more time on that. You guys get exactly what I'm talking about. If you plan on getting this figure, you'll definitely understand after you've got him in hand. The torso articulation is decent. I do wish it was a little bit better. Would have been cool if they increased the range on it. But with the legs, for the most part, you're going to be able to do whatever you want. Thank goodness they didn't change those, because I don't think that they could have been executed any better. The Denji faces, they look okay. I mean, they're not bad. They're not great. But I would have liked for them to look a tad bit better, since a lot of this figure is reused. Now, granted, the hands and arms and everything are all going to be different. But yeah, man, I do wish the faces would have looked a little bit better. There are so many things I think that Figma did better. And of course, there's things that SH Figuarts did better. I am definitely going to be getting my Figma back at some point. I think right now he's probably on discount, because I think a lot of people slept on that one. But I don't know, man. Personally, I really enjoyed that one right out of the package more than I'm enjoying this one, just because I already had this figure, and so maybe that's why I knew what to expect, so I didn't have any crazy expectations. But yeah, the Figma was completely new. But either way, man, I still like the figure. If I had to rate it, I'd give it like maybe a 6.5, maybe even a 7 out of 10. It's Denji. He's powered down. If you got the Chainsaw Man version, you got to get the powered down version. Now, honestly, what I'm going to do with this figure is I'm going to part swap. Basically, what I'm going to do is take all of the normal Denji parts off and put them on this body, and then I'm going to swap all of the Chainsaw Man parts and put them onto this body. And then I think I'll have my perfect Denji figure, because I'm going to enjoy Denji powered down more than Chainsaw Man. And still, even on this body, or this body right here, Chainsaw Man's still going to be able to hit all the poses that I want him to. It's just, it makes more sense for him to be in dynamic poses on this body right here versus being vanilla, because how bad the shoulders look. But yeah, anyway, hope that you guys enjoyed this review. If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That always helps me out. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure to hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload new content. And last but not least, follow me on everything you see listed in the description below to keep up my activity outside of YouTube. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe wherever you are, and bye. And just a quick update, my plan to swap the bodies absolutely failed, because Tamashii Nations did what Tamashii Nations loves to do, and I'll never understand it. But as you can tell, this right here is the body of the Chainsaw Man. This one right here is the body of the Denji. And the ball pegs are completely different. Actually, I think this is the Denji, and then this is the Chainsaw Man. The ball peg on the Chainsaw Man figure is much bigger at the neck than this one. And so basically you'd have to swap the entire torso, and unless you're a customizer, it's probably something that's going to be too annoying to even deal with. So yeah, you got to deal with these ugly ass shoulders on a Denji figure. Come on, Tamashii Nations. Oh my